Well, welcome everybody to the Fasting Transformation Summit, where we are uncovering the most ancient, inexpensive, and perhaps the most powerful healing tool that you can use. It's fasting. I'm your host, Dr. David Joggers, and really excited about today. We're talking about fasting and high performance. So how you can have more energy, better mental clarity, really get the most out of life. And I brought in the high performance expert, my best friend, Dr. Isaac Jones. You can find him at elevase.com. He's all about elevating human performance. And he and I go way back, and I love his family, his wife, Erica, his little boys, 3 little boys. And we live close to each other and are planning our life together. But this guy really epitomizes high performance. And so, Dr. Jones, welcome to the Fasting Transformation Summit.
Thank you so much, David, Dr. Jockers. Really appreciate it. Thank you for all the kind words. I feel the same way about you, your family, and what you're up to is amazing. This summit is going to change and transform so many people's lives.
Yeah, thanks so much. And so how did you get started in performance in general? Like, what attracted you to that?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting story. I grew up, a really healthy kid, but my parents just didn't know what they didn't know. And, I was eating certain foods and doing certain things, taking certain medications that really just decreased my brain function, my energy, my vitality. Ended up getting diagnosed with ADHD and dyslexia. And then was put on Adderall and Accutane for my acne and all these different medications. And being on this cocktail of medications on top of the challenges I was already dealing with kind of brought me down into this spiral of even more issues, like athlete's foot and chronic fungal issues and gut problems, waking up with stabbing pain in my gut. And it wasn't until I discovered a doctor actually very similar to you that helped me understand the underlying causes of what was going on in my body. And, I know I would have gotten faster results if I would have implemented fasting into the things that I'd learned back then. But needless to say, over time, because this process of healing always takes time, over time, I completely did a 180. I was in special needs before to take tests because of the ADHD and dyslexia being so severe. And literally 6 months later, I couldn't have even been diagnosed with dyslexia or ADHD because of what happened. My productivity went through the roof. I was getting straight A's in classes. In fact, it was thanks to you that I ended up applying for an academic scholarship and ended up winning this academic scholarship. But here you go from being a kid in special needs to, getting academic scholarships at, doctorate level universities and college, different university programs, one in Canada, one in the States. And, that's when I started to recognize an available upgrade is possible for everyone listening right now. Like there is a possibility to upgrade to another level of performance and functionality and productivity and brain mental clarity and energy just through implementing a lot of the principles that we'll be talking about today.
Yeah, for sure. And so for those of you guys that don't know, Isaac and we actually lived together through graduate school. So so we go way back. So I saw him upgrading his physiology and just crushing his classes and all the things that he was taking on, all the different clubs and skills that he was looking to learn. So I watched it firsthand. And so what are let's go over some of the biggest things that people are doing wrong, nutrition, lifestyle strategies that are hurting their energy and mental performance. Let's start with that.
Yeah, when I read over this question and I was preparing for this interview, I didn't want to just give the same response that most people would give in an interview, which is like, sugar, processed foods, etc. Ultimately, when I look into assessments of high performers that want to access a higher level of performance, when I've looked at hundreds of these at this point. And one of the biggest problems is that people are not eating enough fat, not eating enough healthy fat. The other thing is that they're not eating enough high energy micronutrient rich, antioxidant rich foods, which we'll talk about in a second. I'm fasting right now, but I literally had a little bit of lemon and herbs this morning in some water. I crushed it up with like a mortar and pestle, and I'm like functioning at such a high level right now through the fasting. Through fasting, I haven't literally eaten anything but herbs today. And it's just like, just a one little thing that I had, some basil and some sage that I kind of crushed up, put in some water. And it's just like, these are like little things that really make a huge difference for performance. But, ultimately, not eating enough fat, not getting enough like of these high energy dense foods, antioxidant dense foods. And then, what comes up on these surveys a lot is that people aren't drinking enough water. Like they're dehydrated. And I know, that may be something that would be like, oh, it's pretty simple, but water is a problem. And another challenge is that they're living their life with over producing and over stimulating these excitatory neurotransmitters in their brain, which really create a decrease in brain function, impact sleep, impact a number of different cascades in your health and your body. So I want to, talk a little bit about how to balance brain neurochemistry a little bit, but that's a big problem that we're seeing. And then people not getting into certain lifestyle rituals that are like essential for maximizing high levels of energy and performance, and fasting and all the different types of fastings we'll talk about later is part of that. But yeah, those are like the 5 things I would say that are really important to kind of look into. Again, it's not eating enough fat. It's not eating enough micro nutrient, antioxidant dense, and energy producing foods. The brain chemistry being out of balance because of certain things that we're doing to not balance our brain chemistry. And then, of course, not really, getting into those rituals that we should be implementing to really skyrocket our energy performance to the next level.
Yeah, it's a great rundown. And this is a really important topic because, for some people, they resonate with performance because they think, well, I'm an athlete, or, I've got to perform well on a test. I'm a student or something like that. But really, all of us are athletes, and most of us are occupational athletes. Like my wife stays home with the kids, and we've got 3 kids, and she's got to be able to perform at a really high level so she can be fully attentive and be a great mother to them. And that's huge. She's got to be focusing on performance and all the strategies you're talking about so she can do that. So no matter where we're at in life, ultimately every day we've got to be able to perform for the people around us, people that we care about, people who are depending on us. So it's a really important topic. And so what are your top principles, right? Top things people can start to do right away to skyrocket their energy and mental clarity?
Here's the reality is that most people create stress for themselves. They create stress for themselves in a number of different ways. And this is at the core of why people binge eat. It's at the core of why people continue to consume sugar. It's at the core of why people self-sabotage themselves from actually implementing a fast in the first place. Ultimately, what happens, and this is the number one principle, there's 5 actual principles that I'm going to go through. The first one is that I'm going to be talking about is presence. And I'll talk a little bit about what that looks like in a second. The second is rhythms. That's kind of like, exercise rhythms, sleep rhythms, like different rhythms that you get into throughout the day. The third is strategies around nature. And the fourth is consuming real food. And there's some real kind of like really cool strategies in there that I want to get into. And number 5 is technology. There's an upside and a downside to technology. I'm going to talk about both in that point here. But getting back to stress, stress gets created and it sabotages our health, and it creates increase in cortisol produced by our adrenals and impacts our brain chemistry because most people are thinking about challenges of the past or unmet expectations of the future. and they create stress for themselves. Now, the only way to really overcome this and access a higher level of performance and joy and happiness and all of the things all of the good things in life that you want to experience more of, is to be present with the moment, present with what's happening with you right now, present to your breath. I was taking a bath last night, and I'd exhaled all of the water or the air out of my lungs, and I went under the water, and I was under there maybe for a minute, and I could hear my heartbeat. And it was like this meditation. It was just like I could hear my heartbeat in the water. It was like boom, 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 boom. And I was like, thank you, God, for the heart that's beating inside of me to keep me alive right now, But, present, even in a busy day, you can be present to what you're doing right now. Like, most people create stress for themselves because they're like, oh, I need to get all this done by the end of the day. And again, it's not what's happening. If you live in the world of what's happening, you don't have stress. If you live in the world of what's not happening, you always have stress. So presence is actually one of the biggest upgrades that you can make in creating high performance for yourself. And this is to the point, like this point right here, you may think it might be a silly point. However, people are investing, like top level executives are investing $7,000 per executive to go out to an event I'm going out to in Los Angeles at the Ritz-Carlton next week. And it's like a 5-day event all about this one topic. And I just gave you the core of it. Start observing your thoughts, start observing where stress comes from, right? Become more present to what's happening and really live in each moment, and recognize what's not happening in your life is what creates the stress in your life. And if you can get present each and every day and try to do that every moment of every day, you're going to create a major upgrade in your brain. Your adrenals are going to be at a much healthier level because you're not producing as much cortisol. And just overall, you're going to digest your food better. You're going to increase micronutrient absorption because of that. So that was kind of a psychological piece there that I don't know if you want to add in.
I mean, I think it goes hand in hand with fasting, because a lot of times, especially today's day and age, we all have our phones. It's so easy to not be present. Like, honestly, you could spend all day long not being present. And most people do. And so, a lot of times we think we're missing something, but really we already have it. It's just actually taking time to slow things down and allow the mind to be clear, right? And just like fasting allows the body to really clean itself up. The presence just allows your mind to just be clear and focused. So I love it.
This is why I fast.
It doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah, it doesn't cost you. Exactly. This is probably the number one tip nobody talks about that creates major upgrades in your health. And I'll just say that what creates more presence for me and my ability to stay focused on the present is fasting. Like, I am like 100% dialed into this interview right now, like my whole being. And I'm so happy to be communicating with you today. And it's like majority of that is because all the blood is in my brain. And I'm talking to you right now because I'm in a fasting state, right? So fasting just in general helps you create more performance in your life and allows for you to enjoy each moment even more. And even when you eat later on in the day, it creates like the flavors. Like, I don't know if you get this, David, but like the flavors are better than when you're just eating throughout the day. Like you enjoy food more,
Yeah, totally. The less meals I eat in a week, the more I appreciate the meals. Like last week, I did a full 4-day fast, and it was like coming off of that, starting to eat food. It was like I just had a greater appreciation.
So true. Yeah. So there's like a kind of spiritual component that we could get into a little bit later as well, but it's powerful. So presence. Number 2, rhythms. The rhythms you want to get, there's so many rhythms. We don't have enough time. We could just talk about rhythms on this call, but you want to get into really good patterns before sleep. Don't eat 3 hours before you go to bed type thing. Create like a rhythm or a ritual before bed. Don't be watching television and on your computer the hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, ideally before bed. And what my wife does, she likes to take a bath and read, and actually not hang out with me because she's been with the kids all day. So that's what she does.
It's an introvert, yeah.
Yeah, she retreats, which is a little challenging for me because I'm like, hey, let's talk and hang out, but we've created a good balance there. And then, for me, it's like reading books. It's doing some stretching before bed. Part of the balancing of the neurotransmitters in your brain is because there's so many elevated excitatory neurotransmitters that keep us from getting deeper sleeps at night. One of the interesting things that increase GABA through just something you can do right before bed is meditation skyrockets GABA, and stretching skyrockets GABA. I found that even 2 minutes of stretching helps me get a much more deeper and rejuvenating sleep than if I don't stretch before bed. But stretching and meditation. Anything else you want to add there, David?
Yeah, I mean, I think those are really good strategies. So yeah, stretching, meditation. We have a massage chair at our house, so I jump on that too, right?
Yes.
Get a little massage. Maybe some light music can be like light worship or light classical or something along those lines. Just really light can be good. And some positive visualization too, like just kind of closing your eyes and just allowing your mind to start to visualize what you want. Yes, helpful as well.
Absolutely. And to your point on the massage, one thing that is something I do almost every night is myofascial release. Like you don't need to have a massage chair, just get a $2 lacrosse ball or tennis ball and just roll around on that and like just work out knots on your back or on your glutes or on your thighs. And it's amazing. Just 2 to 3, 4 minutes, 5 minutes of that will do for your sleep. So the rituals before you go to bed are huge. Getting committed to a ritual and a rhythm through the week. Like I know that I'm working out specific days of the week. I'm doing yoga specific days of the week. And then, I'm starting to implement getting out in nature a little bit more because it's something that it really means a lot to me, but I haven't actually done as well at. Which brings me to the third point, which is getting out in nature. This is something that David and I did all the time. We would go for runs early in the morning and through the woods, through the forest. We would get outside, run with our bare feet on the grass. We'd take our shirts off and we would be, this is while we're getting our doctorate, we would be doing push-ups and thrust-ups and sprints with our shirt out, out in nature, hearing the birds sing, getting vitamin D on our skin. You can even do that during a working day. Like if you're on a phone call, tell them to call your cell phone and get out, go for a walk, get some vitamin D, go to a park nearby, whatever, even if it's just indoors. Walking and talking is better than just sitting and talking. But nature is extremely powerful. And I try to integrate that as much as I can throughout the week. Anything else you want to add?
No, I love that. I mean, like right before this interview, I just went out and jogged around my neighborhood because like I wanted to take a little break. So I try to take 3 to 4 walks a day around my neighborhood. Just really helps break things up and helps me be more productive.
Absolutely. Exactly. That's exactly what I do as well. And, the number 4 is real food. Like you're consuming and you've heard about vegetables being healthy for you, but a lot of people don't emphasize spices, herbs, and these types of high energy alkalizing foods like lemons, limes, things of that nature. I typically do lemon or lime every other day, but I do a lot of them. Like I did 3 or over the last 3 days, I've done either a lemon or a lime, and just getting some of that juice in your body alkalizes. It's high energy food. And then if you can like crush up or add some spices or herbs to your smoothies, I know David loves turmeric in some of his smoothies. He's got some great recipes on his website around that. And I'm experimenting with morning mocktails that are just like, they're fasting type cocktails that you would get it at a bar, but it's just with like water and ice, and you just kind of crush up some herbs, and you may squeeze like half a lemon or something in there, and you're getting like all these herbs and spices in the morning, and it's something that doesn't spike your insulin or whatever, and it just gives you straight like powerful micronutrients. So that's something that you may want to look into. And then technology, let's talk about that. And anything actually you want to add to the real food, David?
I mean, I love lemons and limes. You get this combination of vitamin C and citrus bioflavonoids. We call citrus bioflavonoids vitamin P. So they have this brilliant synergy. One of the big things they do is they help relax the endothelial lining in your blood vessels, which allows for better capillary permeability, getting more blood flow into the deep areas of your body, better oxygen extraction, better cellular energy production. So yeah, plus you get the potassium, magnesium, all kinds of key electrolytes in there. So yeah, huge fan of lemon and lime.
Yeah, and it's again something that we'll talk about when we get to the details around fasting and how I use fasting for increasing energy and brain support. In that it's like one of the best things that you can do for vasodilation and protection of your vessels. It's very powerful for just getting blood and oxygen to those deep areas of the brain that a lot of people are getting constricted levels.
Yes.
So powerful. Technology. So here's the bad of technology. I'll talk about the bad, then I'll get to the good. In respect to energy and performance, the bad in respect to technology is that electromagnetic frequencies are everywhere. I've got my computer directly plugged in to the Ethernet connection, so I have zero Wi-Fi in my office. My cell phone I often put on airplane mode, and for my house you can get them on Amazon. There's just like these little timers that you can time when the Wi-Fi shuts down around the house. So at night, everyone is sleeping in a Wi-Fi free environment at the house. So why is this important? Because you're an electrochemical, being, and we actually don't know the impact that Bluetooth and Wi-Fi have on people. All I know is that I can actually feel high fields. There's people with deficiencies of B vitamins that can really feel it more so than other people, like B12 and pantothenic acid, the B6. These vitamins create an even heightened sense of the challenges that come along with EMF toxicity. But they're linked to cancer, they're linked to heart disease, they're linked to increased levels of inflammation. So with technology, we want to minimize it as much as we can, but we also want to use technology for increased levels of energy and brain performance. One of the things that I love to do is I use this technology called brain.fm. You can use it on your computer, you can download an app on your phone, but brain.fm brings your body or your brain into a very deep state of focus and flow. So it uses artificial intelligence to actually create music and binaural beats to actually help you focus better when you're meditating, meditate better, and get into deeper states of meditation a lot quicker. You typically use headphones when you're using it. Technology also for biohacking or for tracking your vitals. There's technology now for ketosis that Dr. Jockers, you'll learn a lot about that from his website and his past interviews and summits that he's done, the Keto Edge Summit. Highly recommend getting that if you guys haven't gotten that yet. There's just like little things like, the Muse device for meditation. You can pop it around your forehead, and you can actually look to see whether you're getting into states of meditation. When is your brain wandering? And you can kind of gamify the approach of creating more control over your brain function and higher cognitive access to your frontal cortex through meditation. So, that is, technology is just amazing. But those are the 5 things. You've got number 1, which is the most important, which is being present. And I'll just reiterate this again, being in a state of awareness of the things that create stress. Stress typically comes from what's not happening. We've got to focus on what's happening and living in the moment. So number 2 is, and by the way, one of the best tips to get back to present is just breath. So getting back to your breath and doing deep belly breath and breathing exercise is extremely powerful. Number 2 is getting into rhythms. We talked about pre-sleep rhythms. We talked about exercise rhythms. Number 3 is nature. Number 4 is real food. And then, of course, number 5 is technology and using technology to help access the higher levels of performance.
Cool, man. That's a really good rundown right there. and definitely a lot of stuff that other speakers aren't talking about. So I love it. Let's talk about fasting. How does fasting help to clear your mind and give you better mental clarity and energy?
Listen, like, I work with executives and entrepreneurs around the world of the highest order. Like, some of these people work for billion-dollar, Fortune 50 companies. Some of them are entrepreneurs with multi-million-dollar fast growth companies. And so when I'm working with these people, they want the unfair competitive advantage. But what's great is that you don't have to be an entrepreneur or CEO to get the benefits of the things that I educate them on. In fact, one of the most important things, and the thing that really creates the highest level of performance in their bodies and their brains in respect to energy, is intermittent fasting and fasting in general, and just using the multiple kinds of fasting that will help you get to a higher level of performance. What we see is increased energy. We see increased focus and brain function. Another thing is they look at me as kind of like the doctor that gets them 6-packs, right? Or the doctor that gives them like their ideal body. And that's what happens when you fast, is over time, you end up creating hormonal balance. Your neurotransmitters have a break from the bombardment of the challenges that you get from eating some of the other things that most Americans eat, most people in the world eat. And then your body gets into the state of fat burning, and you get to the point where you're ripped. If you saw David Jockers with his shirt off, you'd be like, holy cow, like, he's ready for a fitness competition. He's so ripped. I see it because I'm hanging out with him on the weekends, but like, this is a side effect of fasting. This isn't something he's training for. This isn't something that I'm training for as a fitness competition. But these people, they access anti-aging pathways. They look younger. I had a screenwriter in Hollywood of movies that you guys have watched, some of your favorite movies. This guy has done the screenwriting for, and we implemented fasting with him. And he lost 100 pounds through the process of around an 8-month process of using intermittent fasting and these different fasting strategies through working with me. And people did not recognize him. People that he was friends with for years, that he would see like a few months later, they did not recognize him. He'd be like, hey, it's me, And he said that the compliments that people would make was that he would look 5 to 10 years younger. Crazy thing, this is the craziest thing, is that we did pre and post telomere length tests on him before and after the fasting program. Guess what happened? This is mind-boggling. He reversed biologically over 8 years in just 8 months. 8 years.
Wow.
I since done this with multiple people, and the telomere lengths are like mind-boggling. Like, we're putting on, in just such a short period of time, years onto people's lives biologically in respect to the telomere length, which is an indicator of how long you're going to live.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, you're basically, and it didn't cost him anything really. He just stopped eating.
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
I mean, there's so much to fasting that's
Yeah.
beneficial. But yeah, totally.
Yeah. So let's talk about things people can do, like other helpful strategies people can do while they're fasting to help improve energy and mental clarity. Because, if somebody just starts fasting and they have no experience with it, they may notice that their energy goes down before it goes up. And so, what are things that they can do to help with that?
I'll tell you the same thing I tell the people that are going through working with me is that, oftentimes our bodies have a certain level of toxic burden. And any time that you start to move those toxins out of your body, which fasting is one of the best ways to do that, you end up oftentimes getting a little bit of a Herxheimer reaction, or just a detox reaction. And there's two reasons for that. Number one, you're actually moving environmental toxins out of the cells and out of the body, which is great. Number two reason is that you're starving the biotoxins in your body, like the unhealthy microflora and bacterial ecology that is overgrown over the years, that is wreaking havoc and creating inflammation in the body. When you go into a fasting state, those levels of and colonies of bacteria and perhaps even various other biotoxins that scientists haven't even discovered yet, they end up dying because they're being starved from the sugars and the carbs that they're used to getting from you. And when those, and I know this might sound kind of interesting, but when those die off, and that's literally the term that they use in the scientific world is called die off. When they die off, they release endotoxins and neurotoxins, and that can oftentimes create symptoms associated with fasting. So what do you do about that? The best way to enhance fasting is give yourself, when you're first fasting, a little bit more time to sleep. So if you normally sleep 6 hours, give yourself 7 hours. If you normally sleep 7 hours, give yourself 8 hours, because your body's going to need a little bit more time to handle and detox through this process. Now, your liver detoxes through the circadian rhythm around 10 to 2 o'clock at the highest level. So I would recommend getting to bed by 10 o'clock and making sure you're getting that 4 hours where your liver is like optimally detoxing. That's going to help with the fasting and minimizing the side effects from the fasting. A couple other things that I recommend is, some people are like, man, I get really tired throughout the day. And so I recommend just doing a nap in the day, or if you can't take a nap, get on some of the supplements on drjockers.com, some of the best supplements in the world, that will help to boost your energy and really maintain a higher level of functionality. One thing that I recommend is herbs, like getting like different herbs in your diet. Like spices and herbs, a lot of people aren't talking about, but I use so much of it. And I know Dr. Jockers uses so much of it in his diet, but I've recently been experimenting with literally just crushing up different types of herbs, like mint leaves, sage leaves, oregano leaves, the basil. I have basil plants. You can get them at Whole Foods for like $5, organic basil plants that last like a month, or for me it's like a week. But like you're plucking the basil leaves and grinding it up and throwing it in some water, and actually eat it afterwards. But all of those micronutrients, the antioxidants inside of the vitamins, there's so many factors inside of those herbs that are so powerful for your gut microbiome, to help promote a healthy gut microbiome, but also just an overall healthy brain and body. That's really going to help take the fast to like an entirely new level. And then when you're not fasting, consuming micronutrients through the forms of supplements, and getting on some of the supplements that Dr. Jockers talks about as well. Some of the supplements, like his Keto Edge supplement line, those Keto Edge supplements are just absolutely amazing, and will absolutely help 100% with fasting. One of the best things that you could do while you're fasting.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, absolutely. The keto edge with the exogenous ketones, especially somebody that's just getting started with fasting and they want high level performance, getting some pre-made ketones that mimic that basically are in the same molecular structure as the ketones our body produces
Yeah.
teaches our body how to use these ketones for energy. And not to mention that when you get ketones in the brain, whether it's exogenous coming from the outside, like in a supplement, or endogenous, meaning your body produced it, the once they get into the brain, they're going to signal BDNF, which is this brain-derived neurotrophic growth factor, which helps
Yeah.
enhance neuron development, synapses, little gaps between the nerve cells, helps enhance neurotransmitters, so you get the optimization of serotonin and dopamine and all the things you need to be able to focus and concentrate well. Helps balance your glutamate to GABA ratio, so you don't have too much excitation, right? You're calm. You have things you want to do. You have better presence that way. So yeah, absolutely. I find that can be really helpful, and I do that too, is use exogenous ketones or a good ketone supplement and adaptogens, right? Like you were talking about herbs, like whether you're using like ashwagandha or, it could be like cordyceps or reishi. These things can help our body adapt to stress. Fasting is a stressor on the body, and we need to adapt, kind of like exercise. If we just start all of a sudden go out and we try to run, a 10K, we're going to be really sore, really tired afterwards. Too much stress too quickly. So it's kind of the same thing with fasting, and these are tools that can help us adapt faster. And so let's slide into exercise, because I know you're a fan of fasted exercise, as am I. I like to work out kind of at the peak of my fast.
Yeah.
How does that impact us? How does that help us?
Well, first of all, when you're fasting and when you exercise, you're going to skyrocket a fat-burning anti-aging hormone, which is considered probably the number one hormone in the body for anti-aging, called human growth hormone. And human HGH, like it's like the magic pill. Like all the women in Hollywood that I've worked with, that are celebrities in Hollywood, they've asked me like, hey, can I inject this into my body? I'm like, hey, why don't you just fast? I'm like, you're injecting HGH when you combine fasting with exercise properly. In fact, what the research shows is that you're increasing it in men 2,000% post-exercise, and increase in women up to 1,500%, which is unheard of. So I don't think, you hear exercise peers. I'm really good friends with Ben Greenfield, and he fasts like at once a week while he works out. I fast every single time I work out. I just, the way I feel, the benefits physiologically, I mean, it's so profound, so powerful. So you're getting the human growth hormone. I think you're getting ultimately a much better, like a much better kind of clearance of a lot of the detox or the toxins inside of your body. When you're exercising, you're moving the blood, you're moving your lymph while you're fasting. Like it's a purifying activity to do. Now, the argument against that is, hey, you're burning through all these micronutrients, you haven't eaten, where are you going to get the energy? You're going to bonk out if you exercise and you're fasting. Dr. Jockers, myself, we've found the exact opposite. We're actually stronger. Like we actually can push harder because your body is using the glucose-alanine cycle and beta oxidation to use ketones and use fat for energy. So your insulin levels actually are ideal through the process of working out, and you're getting all these other benefits. So, I like to just give you an example of some of the types of exercises that I do. I love resistance training, more functional resistance training. If I don't have very much time to train, I'll train my legs, because that's where you're going to get the best bang for your buck when it comes to the hormone releases and the the brain-derived neurotropic factor, the HGH, the endorphin release of the high of working out, which David and I are both addicted to it. Like if I go without working out, I literally like I can't stand it. Like my
Right.
body's, I'm like, how do people not work out?
I
And
know.
then when you're experiencing working out with fasting, it's like, how do people not do this? Because you just feel even better.
Yep.
Um, but that high intensity interval training, I love to do. I love doing yoga when I'm fasting, like flow yoga. I think it's called vinyasa yoga, which is like more high intensity yoga. Um, the other thing is, if I don't have honestly any time to work out, I literally just do squats. I sit in my hotel room and I'll just do squats until I burn out. I can't do any squats again, and I'll do that 3 different times. And it takes me like 4 or 5 minutes. It's a 5-minute workout. I still get my workout in while I'm fasting, and I still get the release that I want. So you don't have to necessarily go to the gym. You could just do squats. However, without any weights. But there are so many benefits to working out that I don't even think the research has uncovered yet when you're in a fasting state. And I do it, I would say 90% of the time that I work out, I'm fasted.
Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, when we look at the concept of autophagy, where the body actually breaks down old decaying cells,
Yeah.
utilizes the raw materials for new cells, the two biggest stimulators of that are going to be some sort of high intensity exercise and fasting. So when you combine that, you just get this profound benefit. Also, heat does. So, like if you're working out, like the other day, I was doing sprints outside in the heat. So I was like so sweaty, so it was like I was getting all of this heat impact stimulating the autophagy. I was fasted, I was exercising, all of those things will help stimulate it. And then a lot of herbs like you were talking about, so like lemon lime, the vitamin C, the bioflavonoids will help stimulate some of this mild autophagy. If you can handle caffeine, right, doing like coffee or green tea or matcha or something along those lines stimulates this autophagy process.
Yeah.
And, cycling the body through this cellular cleansing and then cellular building. So you fast, you get a great workout, then you come back and then you consume a really healthy meal with, high quality protein and things like that. Like, for example, I haven't eaten since 2:30 yesterday. And, it's like almost 12 o'clock. I'm going to work out after this, like 22 hours fasted. And then after that, I'm going to have a really awesome, amazing protein shake,
Yeah, and let me tell a quick story about that, because I mean, I used to want to be like this big bodybuilder, right? And so I'm in school, and David, what I love about David is that like on the weekends where other doctors or students that are becoming doctors are, going out and partying, like David and I would literally like stay in and do like extracurricular activities or go to a seminar. And for David, like he's similar to my wife, where he like reads research and he's reading books. Like he's probably the most well-read clinical expert in the world on so many different topics, because he loves that stuff. And so I remember when you were experimenting with fasting and working out, honestly, I was judging him. I'll just be real. I was like, he is crazy. Like, what is he doing? He can't build muscle that way. And over the weeks ahead, he got like bigger. Like his chest got bigger. His deltoids got bigger. And I'm like, is he doing testosterone? Like, is he like injecting, human growth hormone into his body? Like, what's going on? And so I said, dude, what are you doing? Like, what? He's like, yeah, I'm fasting. I don't even eat while I'm working out. And he was explaining to me what he was doing. It didn't make sense to me at the time, but now it's like you can have, it's not like you're going to cause your body to go through rhabdomyolysis where you're eating your muscle. It actually creates a great physiology, a good state for you to maintain muscle mass and have a healthy physiology and body, like what was happening with David. And like I don't know how much muscle you gained, but I would guesstimate probably 10 to 15 pounds over that time of fasting.
Yeah, absolutely. If I don't do fasting and high intensity like strength training, my normal body weight, I'm about 5'11". My normal body weight's like 150 pounds. But with it, I maintain between 160 and 165, right?
Yeah.
And my strength, everything is so much better by following this. And you're right. I would fast oftentimes, like most of the time till like 2:30, somewhere between 2:30 and 4. and then I would eat, and I would eat in like a 4-hour eating window. And now I do the same thing. Now I usually eat my meals somewhere between like 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock is typically like my eating window. So I eat two big meals between that period of time.
Exactly. I didn't know that you did that, but that's exactly what I do. Is I have like, some sort of micronutrient rich herb, what I call morning mocktail. And then in the morning, which doesn't do it. It's like a fasting type thing.
Yeah. You're getting nutrients in, but nothing that stimulates insulin.
Exactly. Exactly. And then, I'll take some supplements or whatever. And then I'll wait to eat till 1:30 typically is when I eat. And then I'll have my last meal at around 6 o'clock to 6:30. So, and I mean, what you'll find is that you start sleeping less. Like waking up early is effortless. You wake up feeling refreshed. And you're not starving your body. You're actually like, I'll eat a relatively big meal at night, So that's great.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's just such a great lifestyle to get into for sure. And so this has been a powerful interview, Dr. Jones. And can you share just any final words of inspiration and what kinds of things you're working on and where people can find more about you?
Thank you. Yeah, final words of inspiration is that be nice to yourself, be kind to yourself, love yourself, because nobody else is going to love you better than you can love you, and being present in the moment of going through a fast and being present in nature when you're out in nature, being present with your kids when you're with your kids or with your friends. This is so important. I think I'm starting to realize the more that I do research into the mindset of human beings is that a lot of us, we beat ourselves up. We create stress for ourselves. And this is at the core of the health challenges that we're dealing with. So if you can just love yourself and be more present, live in the world of what's happening versus the world of what's not happening, you create such a power to who you are, a confidence to who you are. And I just want to encourage you to do that. If you guys check me out at elevays.com, that's ELEVAYS.com, you can get access to our recipes, our videos, our educational content around a lot of the top education that's out there. We're actually also launching, retreats that you can apply for kind of all-encompassing kind of experiential retreats that you may want to just kind of like start experimenting with fasting and with these types of foods and nutrients through an experience. We're going to be launching that very soon, so you can get on a waiting list over on elevays.com. That's spelled ELEVAYS.com.
That is cool, man. I'm going to have to go on one of those retreats.
Well, maybe we'll do one together.
Yeah, there you go. Sounds good. Well, for all the listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And I just want to remind you that fasting can truly unlock the dormant healing potential within you. Mm-hmm. It's safe, it's powerful, and it just might transform your life.